the reason why it's called Project Seed, and it's not a secret, is so that I can plant seed in people's heart. If I'm the only person that will show love to them through my planting seed of love or joy or peace in the way I interact with them, the way I delivered their coffee, the way they came up to my tent and talked to them, then maybe I have given a sliver of hope in their lives, you know? Or maybe they needed a little bit of love, or, just a little bit of something that they can go on the next hour or the next day. So, Project Seed is really a project of planting seed in people's heart. So, and I hope I am showing that in the way I interact with people, the way I talk to them, that I'm a person of hope, of joy, and of love, and that it's planted in them through these little interactions through Project Seed Coffee.
Without further ado, who are you?
Hi, I'm Erene Henniger. I was born in the Philippines, raised in the Philippines. I moved here from Manila to Virginia Beach back in 2007. So I left my country, my people, my father's house into this promised land. So I left and came here for work. My work sent me here. It was a temporary gig. And then eventually it became permanent. And so met my husband here, have a daughter, have a side hustle that has become a monster, which is Project Seed Coffee. And basically just trying to be a better person every day.
I love it. I love it. We love it. Well, without further ado, we play a game called Let's Get Deep.
Okay.
So it starts off with 3 levels
Yes.
with Icebreaker, Deep, and Deeper.
All right.
I've never personally seen the cards, so this is a brand new experience for both you and I.
Okay. So let me choose one.
Yeah, so
All right.
you actually get to choose both and
Oh,
then
okay.
decide which one you get
Oh,
to. Yeah.
that's even better. Have you ever had a ghost encounter, or where's the strangest place you've fallen asleep? Ooh, okay. I like the worst, the strangest place you've fallen asleep.
Okay.
So, I went to China back in 2007, around, I think it was April and May 2007. I went to China for a mission trip. And so it's all, of course, it's underground church, because you're not supposed to have church in China, basically. So we had a little retreat for the teenagers. And of course, it's a retreat, so you go to a retreat house. And when I went there, I have a little OCD. So the bedding were dirty, and it was freezing cold. They don't have heater in the retreat house. I was with another teenager in the room. And so, of course, the boys are separated from the ladies. They're all, I call them teenager, but they're college kids. But it was freezing cold. I don't know if I actually fell asleep, but that's the strangest place I've ever been sleeping-wise. Curled up with a dirty mattress and a dirty comforter. Definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life. Especially, I don't see myself going to China for that exact same reason again. So, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yep.
Wow. Sorry, what part of China was it?
It's called Kunming. It's like the eternal spring area or province in China. Yep.
Very cool.
Yes. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it.
Why?
Because it's an underground church. I don't know.
Oh, I
yes,
gotcha.
yes.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll be
think
okay.
okay,
Yeah.
All right, moving on to
All right.
level
Which one?
2.
Level 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Deep. Okay. Oh, if you had a side hustle, what would it be? And then who is the first person you call to share good news with? Okay. Can I answer both?
Sure.
All right. Who is the first person you call to share good news with? My husband, my sister, my mom and mother-in-law. I think it might be in that exact order.
Okay.
Yes. Just because my husband is my best friend, my sister is my best friend, my mom, I feel bad if I don't tell her, and my sister knows. And then my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law too. So, And if I had a side hustle, what would it be? Well, I am doing it right now. It's currently Project Seed Coffee, cold brew. I do pop up markets. I do farmers market. We do deliver like a modern day milkman. So you leave your cooler out. We deliver straight to your cooler. We deliver in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and Chesapeake currently. And then there's around 7 shops that sell our cold brew too. So, yep, it's a side hustle for sure. Very hustling.
Very hustling.
Yeah.
Moving on
Deeper.
to level 3.
Yes.
Deeper. There you go.
All right. Oh, I'm scared. Okay. What is one thing about your generation that you don't like? Ooh. Who or what is your current biggest threat? Oh, okay. What is one thing about my generation that I don't like? Ooh, I kind of like my generation, so it's going to be hard to. My generation is millennial and Gen X. I am like hanging on thin rope on the millennial part. More of Zennial is what we're called. So it's Gen X and millennial. Um, One thing I don't like. I don't know. I like everything. So what I like is the fact that we went through no computers to having computer, no cell phone to having cell phone, no social media to having a social media. So we're basically able to. We had typewriter at one point, typewriter, and
Wow.
then it became typing class. I had stenography when I was in high school in the Philippines. We had stenography, but essentially we had computer classes in high school. So we were basically in the middle of a big transition from being manual to automatic, I feel like. But maybe I'll think about it if I don't like anything from our generation. I can think of what other things I don't like from the other generations, not my generation. That's just me. Okay. Who or what is your current biggest threat? I think my biggest threat in life is myself. I try not to look at other people. They say that, you are competing with all these other people, but my only competition is myself because I can only look at where I've been or where I want to be too. And so if I don't want where I'm at in life right now, it's because of me, not because of other people, not because of competition, it's because of me. So the only person that's stopping me from becoming who I want to be is myself. So I'm my biggest threat and I'm my biggest cheerleader as well. So,
Very cool.
yep.
That was Let's Get Deep. Just gonna
Right.
Put these
I
cards.
love those.
Yeah, it's so I would originally start with just it being for remote guests, but I wanted to do it in person too.
Yeah.
Just because it was a great icebreaker.
Yeah.
I prefer podcasting like in person like this
Yeah.
because I get to talk to the person I'm actually talking to. Like it's not
Right.
just over
Over the
a
phone.
webcam.
Yeah.
You know. I do want to go back to what you're saying. So I'm actually teetering on the generation of millennials and Gen Z.
Huh? Okay.
So I think the Gen Z generation starts in 97.
Yep.
So I was born in 97. But I definitely do feel like an old man in certain ways.
Yeah.
To where like even when it comes to certain things like social media or like I'm not caught up on the like most recent trends.
You're right. Right.
Yeah, I think I had to look up what Riz meant. Yeah.
Funny thing, my husband knows. We're the same age, and he was like, he knows. He knows all the lingo. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I had to actually look it up.
How about drip? Do you know drip?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I would say that more, or like, wow,
Yeah.
like he or she's got game.
Yeah.
The first time I heard Riz, somebody was, no, it was a friend. I had a friend that was like, oh yeah, W Riz or L Riz, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think. Well, moving along from the generations.
Yeah.
I do like to think though that life is in seasons, but I find that when we ask what we can do to maybe even serve and help other people, that's where we find is our purpose.
Right.
That's just me,
Yes.
but um, one of the first questions I ask, can't speak English today, is when you were a kid, what did you want to do?
To be honest with you, I didn't know what to do. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a seafarer.
Oh.
And so he's mostly not home. Like 90% of the year, he's out at sea, and then 10% he'll be at home, like during the holidays and all that. So eventually, my mom became a stay-at-home mom. And then I was like, you know what? I want to be a stay-at-home mom too. I didn't have any aspirations, nothing. And then I think I eventually went into computer. Currently, my full-time job is actually a systems analyst
Wow.
for a federal government agency. And so I eventually went into computer just because I was thinking I'd rather not be a nurse because I have ADHD, so I'm not going to be a nurse.
I gotcha.
So I'm like, computers don't complain, so I'm bad with math and numbers, so computer is computing, so I don't have to think about numbers. So eventually, I went into computer engineering in college, and then shifted into MIS, which is Management Information System, which is basically, I think, I'm fulfilling that particular college bachelor's with my systems analyst job right now. So I did not really have any particular dream because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And then I became a mom. I'm like, no, I don't want to stay home. I don't want to stay home. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, what life advice would you give that young woman now?
Gosh, wow, that's deep. Well, don't think about other people's opinion too much, because at the end of the day, you get to live within yourself and with your loved ones. So just do you, live your life to the fullest, as long as you're serving the Lord and loving other people.
I love that. I love that. I do want to circle back to when you went to school. So how was that transition moving from like this like Filipino dichotomy, Filipino culture to America? How was that for you?
It wasn't too bad. My mom was already working here in U.S., and so I was visiting her. And then, of course, English is second language for most Filipinos,
Right.
so it wasn't too hard in terms of language. There will be accents here and there. If I'm nervous, it will show up. Um, I think the biggest transition for me was calling U.S. my home. Like, this is now my home, you know? I moved here when I was 27, I want to say 27. And so in my 20s, you would usually hang out with my friends. Like on weekends or at the end of the day, I would hang out with my friends. And then moving here, I'm like, I don't have any friends. I have my coworkers
Right.
that eventually became friends that are Filipino too. So, but it was just a transition of this is now home. You don't walk around the grocery store, running into someone from high school or running, from college. So I just felt like that is the biggest transition, that realizing that this is my home and I have to settle down and then build my home here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it true that, like, in comparison to American life, Filipino life is much slower?
Definitely. I think slower in terms of we always find ways to connect. Like we always find ways to get with people that really matters to us. I feel like here in U.S. you value a lot of people too, but there's just no time. You have to look for ways to spend time with them. In the Philippines, regardless of the heavy traffic, at like 3 hour traffic, you'll still meet that person. You'll still need that time with them. So slower pace, definitely. Yes, culturally, I think Philippines is getting faster in terms of um, technology too, just
Mhm.
because they're in Asia.
Yeah.
And with Japan, South Korea, and all these giants of countries that is into more cell phones, computers, and all that. So I think they're getting ahead in a lot of ways, also, not just um, culturally, but also technologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered moving back? Like, I know that you were saying that like the
Yeah.
United States is your home,
Yep.
but I was even thinking about moving to like getting a condo in
Mhm.
like BCG or
Yeah.
Makati,
Yeah.
or and just living there for a year, just to get closer to my roots.
Right. You should. You should
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
I did actually. I still am thinking about it. I feel like if I'm in the Philippines right now, it would be easy to set up a brick and mortar store
Mm.
compared to here in United States, just because there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. There's just a lot more restrictions compared to in the Philippines. You just set it up and then you're ready,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about going back. My daughter does not speak Tagalog, which is a shame, I know. But I feel like if we move there for maybe 5 years, she'll
Mm.
just learn it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't even have to worry about teaching her right now, because
Yeah.
if we move there for, let's say, 5 years, she'll catch the language.
How
But at
how old
this
is your
point,
daughter?
she's 7.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's yeah.
she'll just pick it up right away, you know?
Yeah.
Even if just for a summer, she'll pick it up right away. So,
Yeah. I believe in that. I think there's like a saying where if you want to learn Spanish, just like live in Mexico for a month.
right.
I think it applies anywhere. If you want to live in the Philippines or
Yep.
Japan or Korea or Belgium,
Yes.
I feel like because in order to survive, you're gonna have to
Yes,
speak
speak
their
the
language.
language. Yeah,
Because
definitely.
not every. But granted, isn't it true though that a lot of Filipinos speak pretty? I mean,
Yes,
they
good
speak
English. Yep.
really good English
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of call centers in the Philippines. Like if you call your bank, it's probably the call center in the Philippines. So yeah, everybody knows English language. A lot of places are actually open 24 hours. That's one of the more fast paced that we're talking about.
mm,
Their Starbucks are open 24 hours.
sheesh.
So everything's 24 hours. Even like buffet would be 24 hours.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I know. So it's like they're ahead in some ways, but slower in some ways too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's kind of funny. I was calling American Express because American Express is like my business banking account,
Hmm.
and on the on the other end, it's like, hello, sir. Like I'm
Yes,
expecting
yeah.
them to say like, ma'am, like, mom,
Ma'am,
sir,
sir.
mom, sir.
Yes, ma'am, sir.
And I'm expecting them to say that
Yeah,
as I call on the other line.
yeah.
And yeah, like I could just detect the accent right away. And
You can for sure.
yeah, if ever for whatever reason, obviously because I'm American Filipino,
Yeah.
so my voice sounds like this.
Yeah.
But I start shifting to kuya, like,
Yeah, the
anong
accent.
balita?
Kamusta naman?
Yeah, I'm like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
So I found that yeah, there are a lot of Filipinos that work there.
Yep.
Would you ever do like your current job there?
No, I was thinking of just cold turkey, going full time in my
Into
coffee shop.
coffee?
Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that's
I
awesome.
feel like it's so easy over there. It's so hard here. You gotta do a lot of paperwork. Definitely, finances. You have to at least have certain X number of amount to be
Yeah.
able to set up anywhere. So.
Yeah. Well, you got to tell us the story behind Project Seed Coffee.
Oh, thank you. So I was working from home during the pandemic, 2020, and I was like, because I'm already a coffee addict as it is. So my husband and I already talked about having a coffee shop back in 2019. And we were looking at places in Suffolk actually to set up a coffee shop that would be like half commercial and half residential. So we can just live at the back, or something. And then the pandemic happened. And so I was working from home and I was like, I wish someone would deliver coffee to me. And I was like, why don't I do it? But I was like, well, I'm a hot coffee drinker, actually.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I know. So I'm a hot coffee drinker, but I was like, then it will get cold. And I was like, why don't I make it cold already so it doesn't get cold, you know? And so I tapped into my sister, who was a coffee, like a cafe manager in Hoboken, New Jersey. So I called her, hey, how do you make cold brew? She showed me a video of how to make it. And then I started experimenting from December 2020 to April 2021 on like the right ratio, the water ratio, the coffee beans ratio, how long it should be immersed in water. Because cold brew is actually grounded beans immersed in water for 12 to 24 hours. So you get like, it didn't go through the hot water process. That's why it's called cold brew. And it should be smooth and clean. It should not be bitter. The hot water process makes it bitter. So, so I had to do like a lot of calculations. What's the ratio of water? What's the ratio of cold brew? Of almond milk, because I'm lactose intolerant. I do
me
all
too.
all Asians are lactose
Yeah, I
intolerant.
don't know why. Yeah.
So that's why I use everything unsweetened almond milk. And so the ratio of that, and then of course, if I'm doing like a simple syrup, like I have an ube, what's the ratio of the ube into the cold brew and all that. So I experimented from December 2020 to April 2021. My husband was jittery from all the experimentation. My father-in-law, who is actually a cold coffee drinker, which is not usual for older people. I was giving him a sample of my cold brew, and then back then my manager's husband is a chef, and he only drinks cold coffee, and so I have given him multiple samples too, so I get all their inputs and say, what's lacking, what do I need to add more or to pull back a bit. So that's when it all started. And then my husband was doing woodworking, and he was doing like shows, like he would set up a tent and do farmers market and like pop-ups, like what I do now. And then he was like, why don't you just bring your cold brew here? You've been experimenting. And so I was like, you know what? I'll do it. So half the tent was his, half the tent was mine. And then more people were buying my stuff than his. He was like, let's just cancel my woodworking and just concentrate on your cold brew. So eventually it became Project Seed Coffee, started with pop-ups and then delivery. And then the rest is history. Actually, now I drink more cold brew than hot coffee nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
From hot coffee to cold brew.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And so I don't buy cold brew from other people though, because I think mine is the best. So why buy it from other people when I have the best? Just say.
Yeah.
So I still buy hot coffee from others, but cold coffee I refuse to buy from someone else because I'm already making the best. Why buy it from other people?
Okay.
So yeah. So that's the story of Project Seed Coffee.
Of Project Seed Coffee.
Yeah.
What has been some of the struggles in starting Project Seed?
So there was this one time we're already wholesaling. Wholesaling means that I sell my cold brew product to shops. So there was a coffee shop, there was a deli, there was a shop that sells our cold brew. And then we were still undergoing our VDAX, VDAX is Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. So without that, you cannot do wholesaling. We were still undergoing, so it's not completed yet, but I sold some to establishment. And so VDAX was like, hey, you shouldn't be selling because you're not done with your paperwork yet. So I had to pull some of my products out of a shop because of that. And so that's one of the major things that we had to deal with early on, which kind of made me question, should I even start doing this? It's just too much work, Like all these requirements that they ask to have this licensing. It was just too much. But eventually I'm like, if I'm going to do something, might as well do it right. And so we eventually, of course, got our licensing. Everything's clear. It was just one of those things that, have I not gone through that, I would have probably given up easier in any other obstacles. But the fact that I went through that, I'm like, if I did that, this new thing is nothing, So
Yeah. I think there's the common denominator that I've from everybody that's been on
yeah.
has just been the persistence to do something. Um, what has been like maybe even the worst insult that like you've had from the company that you're proud of?
So the insult was I was in a I was in a colder market around November last year or 2 years ago, and someone said it's so cold. Who would buy cold brew at this cold weather?
Mm.
And so I it was one of the people that's in that pop up market,
Oh.
and I was like, she thought I didn't hear her, which I was like, "Urgh." So what I did was, in my head, I was like, let me show you. So I showed her and sold out that day in spite of the cold weather.
Wow.
So I think I brought like a 90 bottles at a cold weather, and I sold out that day ahead of the end of the market. So it's like I think there's 2 or 3 hours before the end of the market, and I already sold out. And so that was something I was proud of because someone was like naysaying cold brew coffee, and I'm like, well, I showed you. I showed you.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
just one of those things. Yeah,
I gotcha.
yeah.
I'm a little weird in the fact that I love eating ice cream on like a cold day.
Hey,
You know,
yeah.
there are people like that. Like I would actually, I think, and I do want to talk about Mabuhay Fest,
Yes.
also, but like that festival's coming up,
Yes.
and if it was like snowing, I'd probably be like, wow, I want some cold brew coffee
Oh,
or some ice cream.
right.
It's and then maybe like my entree would be like, oh, like let me get a bowl of pho,
Yeah.
but I still want
Ice
something
cream.
cold
Yeah.
or yeah, something cold and sweet.
Yesterday I was at the market. It's the coldest so far this season.
Mm.
And we were freezing. My husband and I were freezing. It's by the water. It's at Hampton at Fort Monroe, and it was just a miserable day because it was so cold yesterday. The wind chill made it worse. And then when we got home, I was like, I want ice cream. Matriarch, shout out. I had your ice cream yesterday after a miserable cold day.
Awesome, awesome. We'll plug them in.
Yes,
We'll plug 'em
yeah.
in. What festival? I'm sorry, festival. What market was it?
It's called Harvest Market at Ouzelfinch. It's a farmer's market at Fort Monroe.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. Getting your start in the coffee business,
Yep.
would you say that pop-ups and farmers market are the most effective way to sell your coffee?
Um, I think for where we were during the pandemic onwards, I think that was the best way of doing it. I still think our delivery service actually is the best way just because, like me, I would think of something and I would think like, oh, I wish they would deliver that to me,
Mhm.
which is a lot of people nowadays. Like, um, Gen Zs, I guess, would like, oh, let me go to Grubhub, you know? So it's something that, yeah,
Postmates, yeah.
Postmates, you know? So I think the most effective right now is the delivery service. Back in the pandemic days, I think it was pop up markets and farmers market just because people are all indoors. And being outdoors kind of makes you feel better. And then, of course, there's still social distancing, although you're outdoors, so it's still good. But I think um, I was just telling my husband this yesterday. I feel like it's transitioning back to pre pandemic where
Yeah.
people are actually sitting down
Mhm.
in a coffee shop, chatting and eating and staying and doing your work in a coffee shop. So
Yeah.
I think we're going back from very mobile into the permanent places
Mhm.
where you would usually get your stuff. So
Yeah. Is this a consideration to create a brick and mortar?
yes, definitely, that is the end goal. The goal is to have a brewery type coffee shop. So think of it as
Wow.
brewery, but
Yeah.
a coffee shop where people would just chill and
Wait,
relax.
so like hard coffee?
No, just
Oh,
coffee.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Maybe mocktails.
That'd be cool. Pretty
But
cool.
yeah, it would just be the vibe of a brewery
Oh,
without having to drink alcoholic beverage
gotcha.
like coffee, maybe charcuterie boards or, what have you, pizza. Just like a brewery, but no alcohol, which is weird, right? But it's a coffee
No,
shop.
no.
Yeah.
So I think that especially in this area, actually, who lives in Assembly, her name is Christina Kimbrough. She's the CEO and founder of Free Life, and that's been like her whole company mission, or like her mission in general is to have fun without alcohol.
Right.
So I would imagine that you would attract quite a big audience.
Yeah. Yep.
Like for the sobriety community.
Right.
So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be like a music bingo on Thursday night or trivia night.
Take a shot of coffee. Take a
Right.
shot of cold brew.
Yes, yeah. So it's gonna be a coffee shop vibe. No alcohols, but just coffee or mocktails or something like that. Still with the outdoor setting, with the fire pits and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that come from the lifestyle of being Filipino? Because like when I went to the Philippines, for sure, it was like outdoorsy. It was, you were out in the ocean. Granted, like it's like
hot,
110 degrees,
yes.
but like I can imagine that. Where would you want to have the brick and mortar?
So, because I'm from Norfolk, I would like it to be at Norfolk. Yeah. But if not, I can always go to Chesapeake or Virginia Beach. Definitely, it's very flexible. It just has to be the right place for it, and I do consider it doesn't have to be like outdoorsy. Also, it can be like a city type, jungle looking, but city. But yeah, indoors.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Indoors. Yeah. Have you ever borrowed ideas, quote unquote, from like Three Ships, like next door, or I honestly don't know any coffee shops like on this side of the Seven Cities, but like Grounded Coffee has like a farmhouse style. And then I think it was a Guilty Pleasure Coffee Shop in Hampton.
Yep, we have desserts stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are you just like so in your lane that you're like, no, like I'm gonna design this without?
Yeah, well, actually, I was looking at Ironclad in Richmond. So they have a firehouse that they converted into a coffee shop. So which is pretty neat. You see a pole in the middle. It's a firehouse back in the day, which I want something that I'm taking that into consideration, like something unique that is not just a box. It's a room and you decorate it. I want it to be something unique that has its own history, has its own character, and then play it up as part of the coffee shop experience.
Gotcha. So my older brother, his name is AJ DeSayo. He's actually been in the coffee business for years.
Yeah.
He's finally getting I think it's a Daihatsu. It's a Japanese.
Yes, I know Daihatsu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's starting his coffee truck.
Yeah.
Business.
Oh, that's great.
Is that an avenue that you consider too?
My husband has been pestering me about it.
Gotcha.
He was like, let's just get a trailer. I'm like, my beauty's not for trailer. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. It's a lot of work. Shout out to Beach Bum, who does a lot of work for her coffee trailer, because it is a lot of work. When I talk to her about everything, setting up and all that, it's just something that I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's too much work. Might as well get a brick and mortar where, it's set. So that's just too much work for me, in my opinion. Yeah.
And you're in your preference, you'd rather just show up, make the coffee,
yes.
and go home?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Clean up. I don't have to haul anything out, like, water line or, waste line from so it's just less work for me. I think. At least that's what I think. Yeah. Watch me have a trailer after we talk about this.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. You could have a trailer and then a brick and mortar.
Right.
Yeah. I just know that the cost of having a trailer, it's just so much cheaper than having the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But then I'm ignorant in the fact that I don't know what the licensing, what the implications of even getting a truck is. Right. So I can't say.
Yes. It's a lot of paperwork. Yeah. It's a lot of paperwork, is from what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to circle it back to the drinks. So give me a like a breakdown of why somebody should drink cold brew versus hot?
So cold brew has less acidity. So for people that has stomach problems,
Mm.
it's less acidic. The reason why it's less acidic because hot water makes the coffee acidic and bitter. And so by drinking cold brew, it's less acidity, it's smoother, it's better for your stomach. I heard it's better for your teeth too. That's just like one of those like woman's tales. Like someone said it's better for your teeth, but I don't really know if it's better for your teeth. But that's one of the things they say. Definitely, it's there's more. I feel like you can play more around with cold brew in terms of flavor. I have around 32 flavors now that I circulate during the season. So, winter season, I have white chocolate, peppermint macadamia. I have gingerbread, eggnog. Although you can do that also in hot, cold brew has more shelf life. Like our shelf life is 2 to 3 weeks. It actually can go longer, but just for better quality, it's best to consume it within 2 weeks. So, and what else? I feel like there's more the longer it sits, which for us it's in a bottle, you get more of the flavor out of that. Um, with hot coffee or iced coffee, which is coming from a drip or coming from an espresso, you have to drink that right away. And then if you let it sit for a while, it's not as tasty as you would have expected it to be. So just the whole difference of the quality, the shelf life, is why you would drink cold brew coffee. Less acidic too, and better for your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What what's your opinion on solely tea drinkers?
Oh no, I drink tea a lot
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm not a coffee snob in terms of tea being snobbish to coffee being snobbish to tea. Um, but yeah, I drink tea a lot during the winter too. I have milk tea now in my cold brew offering.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's pandan milk tea and cold brew. I drink a lot of bubble tea also. So it is a form of tea. I drink apple cider tea. I have an apple cider. So it's
Apple
like,
cider tea.
yes,
I've never
I
heard
know.
of that.
It's just you dip it and yeah. But yeah, I'm not snobbish with tea at all because I drink it a lot. But more on the hot side for tea.
For tea.
Yeah, and or cold for milk tea. So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Specifically hot tea, just tea, and then milk tea for cold.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wanted to ask actually because I asked Ariana
Yeah.
from Chow Studios if she has a company tagline. Does Project Seed have a company tagline?
Yes, we do.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
We're a modern day milkman, but with cold brew and a woman.
Very cool.
Yeah, sorry.
Very cool.
Let me repeat that. I'm a modern day milkman, but with a cold brew and a woman. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
so it's we deliver straight to your home like a modern day milkman would. So that's the slogan.
That's so. I did want to circle back to that too. Was when you say that you guys deliver, like it's like direct to consumer.
Yes. So they go to
Wow.
our website, projectseedcoffee.com. They choose whatever flavors they want. They can order half a gallon, and that's the minimum is half a gallon or 4 pack of cold brew. And then it has to be within certain area that we deliver, 15 miles within Centera Lee is what I say, just because I feel like that's a good area. And then later on, I realized I can go to the end of Norfolk, which is at Willoughby Spit, and that's still 15 miles. And that's kind of far, but we still deliver as long as it's within 15 miles. Yeah. Go to the website, choose a day, and then we deliver straight to your home or to your cooler.
Wow. So it's like it. I mean, it's not like so niche that like you couldn't go out and like get it. But have you guys ever thought about expanding the radius, or would that cause too
We
much?
did actually.
Wow.
We were delivering in Suffolk and Portsmouth. We recently cut it down just because there were less people ordering. So it was not profitable to deliver to one person and go to Suffolk. You know,
Right.
when
Yeah.
they can come to a pop up market on a weekend and then just grab it. Because we're everywhere anyway. Or they can pick it up at our home or into our commercial kitchen. So Yeah, we used to deliver in Suffolk and Chesapeake, but we stopped that. Now we have visibility in Newport News because Bird Girl Bottle Shop is a new shop that sells bottle, and we have bottled coffee. So it's a
Nice.
bottle shop where they serve wine and beer, and they have pizza there too. And so our cold brew is now in their fridge. So we have visibility in the Newport News area too.
That's amazing. That's so cool. So with the pop-ups, when do you guys want to stop pop-ups?
You know, it's funny because every time I go to a pop up, I'm like, I should stop this. I always think in the back of my mind, like, I had a back to back this weekend. I was like, what am I doing to myself? Because I have a full time job.
Yeah.
And then we'll in a pop up for both Saturday and Sunday. That means I'm working Friday night or Thursday night specifically for those two pop ups.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what am I doing with myself? I think we will eventually stop once we have a brick and mortar store.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I think the delivery service will still be there. Like a, and of course, I want to call it Project Seed Refilling Station, just because you can refill your half gallon of cold brew and come in and bring your growler.
I love that.
I love it too.
Yeah, you should. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's
yeah.
amazing.
So,
So-
still like a modern day milkman.
Yeah.
You refill your milk. So
Yeah. I mean, hey, then that means that the customers could just be their own modern day milkmen.
right,
Very
right.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So I know that you guys want to create a brick and mortar store of Project Seed Coffee.
Yep.
What do you guys see yourself being in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you guys like see a fleet of Project Seed Coffee like franchises, or do you guys just want to be the Project Seed in Norfolk?
I would like it to just be one or two, and that's about it. I don't want to be the next Starbucks because that's just too much, and the quality just goes down. As you know, we all know when things get bigger, quality goes down. Maybe one major one and a satellite, and that's it. Between my husband and I, we're the only people that work behind the scenes. We have a new intern, which she will be back at Mabuhay Fest this
Nice.
weekend. So because I'm one of the organizers for Mabuhay Fest,
I do want to footnote that and
Yeah.
come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so just me and my husband as the workers, but now we have an intern too.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So what does the intern do?
She would just man the tent to sell our cold
Oh,
brew.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. I'm sure that takes a brunt of
Yeah.
a bunch of the stress off.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for Mabuhay Fest,
Yeah.
I did want to talk about that
Yes.
too. So you have a full-time job.
Yes.
You are the owner of Project Seed,
Right.
but you also decided to organize Mabuhay Fest, which is
Right.
like this huge gathering of Filipino culture
Yes.
and Filipino vendors. What started this project for you?
So I have this friend Annie, who owns Mojo Photo. She's a photographer, and she just bounced an idea about we should start just a market for all Filipino vendors, and we'll have fun, and there'll be music, there'll be things going on, and then eventually she was like, "Let's just do a festival. Let's just do it." And I was like, "Okay," and then she got serious.
Oh, okay.
She got serious, and so I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And so it just eventually evolved. She touched base with Back Bay Farmhouse, which is the location that we have for this Saturday, November 18. And they were like, yeah, here's the date that we have for you. And so it just started from there. I'm more in charge on the vendor side. Like, I am contacting all the vendors. We picked out the vendors. There was an application that was done back in July 30. July 31st was the deadline. And so we've had all our vendors since July 31st. So anything that you see on Instagram or social media, that's all on my side. Annie is more on the location, the logistics behind the scene. Albert is another person that is part of the organization of Mabuhay Fest. The three of us is basically leading it. Albert does the performances Like you'll see tinikling,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see pandango sa ilaw. Like these folk dances will be there. Singers will be there singing Filipino songs, and also, of course, modern songs as well.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a whole festival of Filipino culture. We want something that's different that has not been done before. Like um, I we don't want it to be just another festival for Filipinos to go to, but it's something that the whole community can be part of. That they can sit down, watch the show or watch the performances, or walk around, eat food, experience different products that Filipino made here in U.S. So we have this lady that does bayong. Do you know what bayong is?
Yeah.
So bayong is a bag made of weaved leaves, dried leaves, but she took it into a more modern perspective using plastic bottles. So it's recycled
Oh.
materials, and it's a bag, bayong bag,
Yeah.
with recycled materials. So it's pretty neat. I'm so
Yeah.
excited with all the Filipino products that are being showcased. The talent showcase. There's raffle, there's games and contests. We have balot eating contest,
Oh my goodness.
lumpia eating contest, of course. We have pabitin. I don't know if you know pabitin. It's a Filipino piñata.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have those for the kids. So it's gonna be a fun day. So yeah, we're excited and anxious at the same time.
Yeah. Well, when is Mabuhay Fest going to take place?
It's November 18, next Saturday, 11 to 8 p.m. at Back Bay Farmhouse in Virginia Beach.
Wow. Yeah, that's a. I love how you talk about wanting to renew the Filipino festival. I actually had the honor of working with 8 Media
Yeah.
and Have a Good Day Studio, and I think it was the Filipino American Society, the Phil-Am Society.
Yes.
And they were at the Tidewater game, and they hosted, like the kids are doing martial arts. There was, I think, Flip and Hangry was there
Yes.
too, like giving, like just the, like just providing like Filipino ulam and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
And it was funny to see like, like, not Filipino people being like, oh my gosh, there's Filipino food.
Yeah.
And so instead of them going to like the usual hot dog stands,
Right.
the hot dog stands are kind of left with like, all right, guys, like, do you guys want any?
Yeah.
They all rush to the Filipino food and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it is an honor. At that time, it was an honor too, but I capture like those things because I think a lot of, and maybe you'd agree with this, that a lot of the Filipino culture is make me pants it,
I know.
make me lumpia.
Right.
And
yeah.
like what are your words to the people that think that Filipinos are just pants it and lumpia?
We have more. We have puto bongbong, which is basically like a Christmas thing that we eat after Mass. There's this thing, a tradition in the Philippines where 12 days that you go to Mass. Then once you get out of Mass, there's Catholic Mass. You get out of church, and then there's street vendors selling food, and one of them is puto bongbong. So hopefully we'll have puto bongbong, which is purple in color. Not ube, but it's called puto bongbong. But we will have ube. We will have lechon, like real lechon, and fish ball. We'll have fish ball. We'll have barbecue skewers, like street food type of food. So there is more. There's also like a modern take in the things that we already know, like a donut. We have Filipino donuts that will be there too, with pandan filling and ube filling, custard, different things. So it's gonna be amazing. Everybody will be full. We have 5 food trucks and offering different things too. Lava bowls will be there. They serve bowls with different things, Filipino inspired and also Asian inspired. Flipping Hangry will be there. It's all good VA. They have more of the Hawaiian take to different things that Filipino offers. They have sinigang fried chicken, which is so good. And all the other good stuff. Pihaloha will be there. Beach Bum will be there. Who else? House of Lumpia will be there too.
Yeah, just so many vendors.
Yes, yeah.
You know. When did you originally move to Virginia Beach?
So I moved here December 2007. Went back to the Philippines March 2007. and stayed here December 2007 for good. So moved here permanently December 2007. So yeah, I might be mixing the dates, but it is 2007.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How has the Filipino community grown since that time?
So for me personally, because I didn't know anyone, any Filipino, because a lot of people that might have grown up here in the Hampton Roads area, they would have different associations that they would go to. Like there will be Las Piñas Association, Batangas Association. So they're more immersed in the Filipino culture in Virginia Beach. But when I moved there, I'm like a lone star basically. So for me personally, how it evolved was very recent. When I started doing these pop-ups, I started to meet a lot of Filipinos just because I went back to my roots by creating ube cold brew. Because who has ube cold brew, right? Yeah. So I was like, by creating this Filipino flavors, I am now reaching a lot of Filipinos. The pandan milk tea cold brew. I have salted egg yolk, which is very Filipino too. The itlog na pula. I feel like it's like a salted egg yolk. And then I have gulaman cold brew, which is going to be there this Saturday. But having all these unique flavors and very Filipino kind of made like a good bridge for me and my products and my customers to engage a lot of Filipino here. So it's fairly recent for me that I am able to immerse myself in Filipino culture. Because when I moved here, I didn't have a lot of Filipino. I probably have 4 Filipino friends when I moved here, and then now I have a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. When you cultivate a community like that, I love how it kind of is just flourishing, where it's like, I mean, that's what Mabuhay Fest is essentially, what it is. Has there ever been a time where you've had like that identity shift of being like, you need to reject your Filipino side to completely embrace your American side?
Yeah, I actually had that. I think it's the first few years I moved here. Like I became more Americanized in terms of I don't eat rice every day, which is very non-Filipino, right? So that's one of the things that I rejected is not eating rice or not eating Filipino or not making Filipino food. I don't make Filipino food. I just buy it just because it's easier, less preparing, less things to buy, less time to. So now I find myself after being more immersed to other Filipinos that, oh yeah, I do want rice. I do want to speak in Tagalog. I don't have to keep speaking in English. I do want to talk about our aunties and our culture and like what we shouldn't do and what we should be doing. So the fact that I have a child right now, it made me think of what should I do for my child that would make her be more immersed in the Filipino culture. And so by having this Mabuhay Fest, by having all these Filipino friends, she can at least have that exposure of the Filipino culture. And if I don't do it, where else would she, get it? Because she's half Caucasian and half Filipino.
She's a mestiza.
She's a mestiza, yeah. So I'm like, I have not been good at exposing her from her first few years, but now it's getting better. So at least I'm doing it for the next generation, at least in my family's generation.
Do you guys speak Tagalog at home?
No, we do not.
Why not?
She knows the small words like tara na. Like,
oh my gosh. She knows all the swear words probably.
No swear words. Like like salamat, just the basics. Again, we might go to the Philippines and she'll just learn from it.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Where are you from originally in the Philippines?
Parañaque. So Parañaque is in Manila, which is 10 minutes from Ninoy Aquino Airport. So it's like in the middle of the city, the hustle and bustle of Metro Manila. Yeah.
Have you ever craved like the country life, the provincial life, so they say?
I thought at one point I want to be in the province or like country, but then I realized I can't get my pho there. I can't get my my kimchi there. You know, if you're in the city, you have accessibility of all these different cultures.
Yeah.
So I'd rather live in the city than in the countryside, for sure.
I love it. I love it. I think it also directly reflects with how you want Project Seed to be. You know, where you were saying that it could be open and outdoors, but it could also be like literally like brick city. Like it could be,
Yes.
as long as it's not like this crazy jungle of
Right.
city jungle. Um, so moving to coffee and Starbucks. So I think this is the question that I'm like careful asking.
No, it's okay.
But why is Starbucks bad?
Um, I think if you drink their coffee by itself, the thing that you can tell if a coffee is good or bad is you drink the black coffee by itself. So without all these fluff and sugar and cream and whip, the base is not as good. So I'm sure they're curating their products in like they have scientists back in the lab doing different kinds of things to make it very good, right? But at the end of the day, if the root or the beans is not good quality, then the product is not as good. My beans that I use is medium roast Bolivian beans. They are, I know, I have talked to the farmers. I have talked to my roaster. I know where it's coming from. It's coming from Bolivia. They have a farm. It's transparent trade. Transparent trade is actually better than fair trade because fair trade is the value of the coffee. Transparent trade is 3 times the value of the coffee beans. So, and my roaster won Roaster of the Year 2023 by Roast Magazine. He's a Manassas, Virginia local. He's a Virginian, and he won a national coffee award. So I'm like, I'm proud to be Virginian and proud to be local. Everything is local in terms of roasting. Beans comes from Bolivia. Usually they roast the beans Tuesday. We get it Wednesday. They roast it Tuesday. They ship it Wednesday. We get it Thursday. We have a lot of time for it to degas, and then we brew and bottle it. So it's really very fresh. Every time you get it from us, you taste the quality. If you are in a pop-up market, we usually have a sample of our black coffee, of course, all the flavors. The funny thing is, all the flavors that we have is solely based on the same ingredient as the black. So the fact that the base is good and then all the other 32 flavors are good, then that means that the quality of the beans itself is really good. So,
yeah. I might get condemned for this, but there was definitely, I think I was watching it. It was like a TikTok video or an Instagram video. It was like on Reels or something, any short form content, and it was this teenage girl asking for like, I think she said it was a caramel macchiato with like 4 pumps of hazelnut, 2 pumps of whatever.
yeah.
And in my mind, I'm just calculating it, and I'm like, how many grams of
I know.
like
Sugar, yeah.
corn fructose sugar, not
Yeah.
even real sugar, that she just asked for, and like how much they put in the drink. And I found actually that when I drank the Starbucks coffee black, it was just like sour burnt bean juice or like bean water. It didn't even. And I mean, to be fair, like it was good in the fact that it was better than like, I don't know, like what is the
Dunkin' Black is not good too.
yeah, I'm not
Dunkin' with, sugar and everything is better than Starbucks, I think. But when the black, you just drink the black, it's worse than Starbucks. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so I found that whenever I was drinking coffee, I could drink coffee black if it was a good coffee. It was a good brew. It was a good. It was just a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It was just good.
Mm-hmm.
And I generally find myself wanting to put generally oat milk or maybe 2 sugars.
Right.
If it's like sour or if it's burnt. I was wondering if Project Seed would ever like expand. So I know that you guys are like cold brew. Maybe you guys already have tea. You guys,
Yeah.
why not just start making hot coffee?
We will eventually when we
Okay,
once we have
okay.
the brick and
Brick and
mortar.
mortar,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Gotcha. Would you? So I was trying to learn coffee
Mhm.
actually, but making like hot coffee. I was even thinking about getting a Breville.
Mhm. Yeah.
What would your be? Oh my gosh, what would your preferred method of creating hot coffee be?
So I have Breville too at
Oh
home.
wow, nice.
Yeah. So I think it's barista. I forgot what it's called, but I used to make a lot of espresso based coffee with my Breville. Um, my go-to method would be espresso,
Mm.
and then French, and then drip. Um, and maybe the mocha. The mocha is the pot that makes espresso, which is basically espresso too. But yeah, it would be espresso machine, French, the French
French press.
press, and then the third one would be drip. That drip would be last.
Drip method.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to ask also, what have been some of the like startup costs that you guys have had to incur in order to create Project Seed?
So, during the pandemic, I was working from home. My car was just parked in the driveway. I sold my car.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was working from home, and I don't go anywhere. So
What car did you sell?
it's a Nissan Versa. It's nothing fancy. Yeah, it's a Nissan Versa.
Wow, but that's still like easily like 5 to 10K.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not use everything for coffee, but it kind of helped start Project Seed Coffee. When I was starting too, it was December 2020, and so everybody's like, "What do you want for your Christmas present?" I'm like, I mean, cold brew maker. Everything was about coffee that year. So I got lots of presents from my mom, my mother-in-law, my sister. My sister actually gave me my first grinder.
Wow.
We split it. Yeah, she said this is part of your birthday present or Christmas present, like all bundled into one. Yeah. So everything was a present at one point. Yeah. So yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Are you, if I can ask, are you leveraging anything at all? Like, is anything on like a credit card to where you guys are like, the business will pay for this?
Oh no, I'm not using any credit card for the business. Just because I know myself, if I have a credit card for the business, I might use it all. But no, we're solely like circulating the same funds that we have
Wow.
back into the business. We're not using any credit card or anything like that. We do have Project Seed coffee money and bank account by itself. And then, of course, we have our personal account separately from our business. Yeah.
I'm going to be like the little devil on the shoulder.
It's okay.
Why don't you have a credit card? Why don't you try to leverage some things for the business?
Well, because, like I said, I know myself. If I see credit card and then it has this much money available for me to use, I might just use it. So might as well not open that can of worms. So
Okay.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yep. And we can still handle it without the credit card. So
Yeah.
maybe eventually when we have brick and mortar, we will probably use a lot of credit card then.
Is that when? Because so I just recently learned this, and the only reason I bring it up is because my brother's in the coffee business as well. He actually was able to, like, I think he told me for him to break even, he just needs to sell 30 cups of coffee a week, not a day.
Yeah.
So that to me was bonkers. Like, I think
Yeah.
of the people I see like at a Starbucks rolling up like for their caramel macchiato
I
triple
know.
pump
Yeah.
for like $8. And so when my brother told me that, he just needs to sell 30 cups of coffee like a week to break even like for the loan.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like what if he sold like 100 cups of coffee a week?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, so that was just my little
It's good to break it
devil's
down like
advocate.
that, though.
Yeah, like devil's advocate to you, just because like you guys say you're gonna create a brick and mortar. I can't imagine how much you guys would make if you leverage that, like certain things,
Yes,
certain
definitely.
things, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me. But um, what are some tips that you could give people who want to go into the coffee business?
You only do it because you're passionate about it.
Mm.
You only start the coffee business if you love coffee, if you're passionate about it. I would give away coffee if I can
Wow.
afford it. I would like to give away coffee if I can um if I can afford just giving it away, you know. And it is because I want to share how, hey, this is so good. You should try it, you know.
I also made this.
I made this. Yeah. Don't start something if you're not passionate about it, just because um, there will be a time when your candle will just like extinguish, you know, because like if you're not passionate about it, you can just easily give up and say, oh, screw this. I'm not going to do this at all. It's not worth it. But if you're passionate, if you have a love for it, if you're addicted and obsessed like I am to it, then you'll make a way to go and work more than 60 hours a week on top of, you know, your 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot, blood, sweat, and tears. It literally does. There was a point where, like, I'm achy all over, um, you know, not feeling too good, but I still have to drive, you know, and deliver. It takes a lot. Like, my husband is my partner in crime. He is silent, but he's always the one delivering when I can't deliver. So it's a whole family thing.
Yeah.
So you have to really be invested with passion, grit, love, and everything. You're everything to be able to start a coffee business.
Yeah. Where do you and your husband? Sorry, I really can't speak English today. We should just start speaking Tagalog.
Mag-Tagalog na lang tayo. Bakit hindi?
You know, you're right. You're right. Sige, sige.
Mag-Tagalog na lang. Okay.
I wanted to ask, how do you and your husband find time to have the discipline to work on Project Seed Coffee, but to also just work on your guys' relationship?
Like last night, we actually went out on a date last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys go?
We went to sushi.
That's a great date.
Sushi, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So every time there's some like a miserable day, which was yesterday was a miserable day, we find time to do something that we would otherwise not be able to do. Like my daughter was at my mother-in-law overnight for a sleepover, so we're like, let's just go out and eat and, you know, not worry about anything. So which we did. And so when you said you have a full-time job, you have Project Seed, and then you're organizing Mabuhay Fest, more than those three things, I'm a mother and a wife. And so I take time to prioritize my husband and my child. Like today, I went out and went to her school to have lunch with her. So I can do all these things. We can eat out. I can go to my child and have time with her because of all the other things that we've done. You know, like it's a lot of give and take, and then prioritizing of what matters most. You know, and that's family, of course. And then, of course, after that would be all the other things. Like Project Seed is part of all the other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely because you're Filipino as well. Like being Filipino, I think means being family centric. Is that also why you decided to create Project Seed and the fact that it goes like direct? Because I remember growing up, my parents would always be, "Nak, are you hungry?" And they would even like give it to me if the table wasn't already set.
Yeah.
It would be like a show of that act of that like in a love language,
Right.
that acts
Yes.
of service.
Yes.
Is that why you do it? Like why you deliver straight?
Yes,
it's a form
actually,
of love.
yes. So the reason why it's called Project Seed, and it's not a secret, is so that I can plant seed in people's heart. If I'm the only person that will show love to them through my planting seed of love or joy or peace, in the way I interact with them, the way I delivered their coffee, the way they came up to my tent and talked to them, then maybe I have given a sliver of hope in their lives, you know? Or maybe they needed a little bit of love, or, just a little bit of something that they can go on the next hour or the next day. So, Project Seed is really a project of planting seed in people's heart. So, and I hope I am showing that in the way I interact with people, the way I talk to them, that I'm a person of hope, of joy, and of love, and that it's planted in them through these little interactions through Project Seed Coffee.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to do that for the American populace than coffee?
Right,
Since they drink
yeah.
it so much.
Right, yes.
Yeah, or we all drink. I mean, it's becoming this phenomenon to where it's just taking over the world.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
like, actually, I think I don't know if it's a true statistic, but I think coffee is overtaking wine and, like, alcohol by, like, 35% now.
Yeah.
To where, like, because the most common drink, I think, was water.
Yeah.
And then it was alcohol. But I
Right.
think coffee is, like, on the meteoric rise. Because
Right.
a lot of Europeans are just, like, I think Italians will have, I don't know, like, this huge plate of lunch, like,
Right.
this huge bowl of pasta. They'll skip breakfast, eat this huge bowl of pasta.
Right.
Probably have, like, a 2-hour lunch period. They have an hour to eat, an hour to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But from what a lot of my European friends and the articles I'm even reading, they have it, like, with a cup of coffee.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's just like this huge plate of food and then a cup of coffee.
I get it. Like in a lot of countries right now, I mean, breakfast, you drink coffee. Lunch, I had lunch and had coffee with me. And I had coffee with my breakfast. And then during middle of the day, I'll drink another coffee. So I get why it's more than wine. Just because wine, you would usually wait until the latter part. At
Right.
least a lot more people wait
To
until the
enjoy it.
the latter part of the day. Coffee, you can have it at any time, even before going to bed, for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am the weird denominator to where I can drink coffee and go to sleep.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird just because it's not necessarily like any hot drink, but like tea or coffee, I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I try to, well, granted, I try to drink like chamomile tea before I go to sleep. But if I eat like absolute dog water,
Yeah.
if it's just a shitty diet,
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely will have a cup of coffee before I
Yes.
sleep.
Yeah.
Actually, did you know that coffee is oh my gosh, I forgot the medical term. But it's a diuretic.
Yes, it is the diuretic. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I graduated my medical training from boot camp. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it makes you want to go pee right after. Also, another thing about coffee that cold brew, actually, because I told you it's less acidity. A lot of people say coffee makes me poop. Cold brew should not be like that because it's less
Oh,
acidity.
right.
The acidity makes you want to go. Cold brew shouldn't.
Okay.
Just
Very
throwing it
cool.
out there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's actually super dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
So cold brew for when you want to enjoy your day.
Yes. Yeah. If you want to go, then get hot coffee.
Yeah.
If you want to do number 2, get hot coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to just enjoy the beach breeze or,
Right. Yes.
or the
yes.
summer wind,
Yep.
cold brew.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I'm a fan of cold brew for sure. I think over hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just me.
That's great.
Yeah. But I believe we are hitting closing time. Let me check. Yeah, I believe we're hitting closing time. But do you have any closing thoughts?
Life in general?
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
could be life, it could be...
Anything?
Actually, I did have one last question for you.
Yep.
Was what advice do you have for mothers?
For mothers.
Yeah.
So I can only give advice to something I practice. You got to take care of you. It probably doesn't show, but I go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. And that the reason is because that is my time for myself to invest on myself. You cannot pour from an empty cup, so you cannot take care of your husband, your child, or anyone else, your side hustle, if you can't care of yourself. So take care of yourself first, and then you are able to take care of other people, especially your children, if you take care of yourself. So invest in yourself, do something for you. At the beginning of the day, do something for you that will add up to your life, that will flourish you from the inside. And then from there, you can pour to your kids, to your husband, to everybody else. Take care of you.
Love that. Love that. But yeah, do you have any closing thoughts? Any closing questions? People ask me questions sometimes.
Oh,
too.
yeah. No. What made you do this? What are you thinking? What made you do this?
Yeah, so Angeline was one of my guests, and she asked me this question too. So it is the word sonder, coined by John Koenig. He's the author of Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. The word sonder means you are living as painful, as joyous, as beautiful, and as grueling of an experience that I might. And so the word sonder essentially means that you're the main character of your own story.
Yep.
And your husband, your daughter, would be the supporting cast of your story, because you're the hero of your own story. For me, it's enough to know that I was like a lamppost on the side of the road, or the bus stop, the rest at the bus stop you sit on. If it meant that I could give pieces of comfort, if it meant that I could give pieces of inspiration, if it meant that I could give a place of peace, even for a moment, whether I was there for you or not, as long as I was in that world that you live in, it's enough for me to know that that piece of me exists. So, Auxano in Greek means the causes of growth, and every single person has this capacity to inspire others. At the heart of it, why I started it, I think I'm inherently selfish also. I like to talk to people. So if Steve Jobs were in the room, I'd want to talk to you just as much. But also in the fact that if I asked you to like have a conversation with you for like an hour, 2 hours, however long we were podcasting, right? You'd probably just look at me like I was a weirdo and be like, you're weird. Whereas at least with the podcast, right, it gives a platform for me to inherently just talk to people just for an hour or two. And the only thing that we're giving each other is our time, as we both know, because time is extremely precious.
Right.
That's why I started Auxano. But it's also, I like to think of it like a bookshelf. So hopefully, because I plan to do this for the next 7 years, like at minimum.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the span of 7 years, that somebody who needed an Erene, somebody who wanted more knowledge on coffee, or maybe even it was that small portion of life advice that you gave as a mother, that it is able to influence them and give them some hope, some inspiration, some joy, or some coffee.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
would be weird if you're just talking to someone like this.
Right?
But now, because it's a podcast, it's okay.
Yeah.
And you get to know people better, deeper, and more meaningful. Yep.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the saying, when we lead with intention, you can't truly go wrong.
Right.
It might not be, like every single person you meet might not be for you, but the intention I lead with is to just get to know people better.
Right.
Know my ecosystem better, know the society that surrounds me just a little better, just 1%.
Yeah. I love that.
So,
yeah.
But thank you so much for hopping on Auxano.
Yes.
It means so much.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Auxano. Guys, as always, be well and walk tall. Thank you guys so much.
That's great.
All right.
I love it. I'm glad you did the closing part.